We are live and in video today. This is by far the most chaotic, or I'd say more experimental build I've ever done. I jumped all over the place, so I did have to chop this video into like a million pieces in order to give it some type of organization. I furnished everything all at once, so it was a very hard one to organize in speed build format, but I'm really happy with the way this one came out. I think it'd be a fun one to play in. I chose this random lot in Britechester and started throwing a bunch of shipping containers down. You'll see I just copy this one over and over. Because we were in Britechester, I knew that I wanted to do something dorm related, something for students. But instead of doing a typical dorm, I decided to just do a bunch of different tiny homes and what kind of different layouts I could do within these exact same replicas, how I can make them a little bit different and personalized for each sim. I had a lot of fun. I began stacking and overlapping them until I was happy with kind of the shape and the amount of floor space that I had. I just started slapping some colors on until I liked the randomness that it had and the way that it looked. I originally thought I wanted these big glass windows in the front of the 3 stacked shipping containers in the front is more of a communal space, and then the 4 in the back are individual dorms or really tiny homes. You might see some furnishing inside of the tiny homes. I moved the interiors to a little bit later into the video. I ended up picking up the entire communal space and shifting it over more to the center because I felt like that 4th tiny home dorm, you had to walk a long way to get back there, so I wanted a pathway to go all the way around the communal space. And here I'm removing the staircase so that the first dorm had the same side access that they all had. And then I end up putting a ladder and that box that sits on top of 2 of the dorms, more of a private space for the residents. And here I am changing out the windows again in the front of the communal space. I wanted it to be a little bit more private off of the street, and I didn't want the giant glass because I didn't want people walking by to just peer into what they were doing. But those mailboxes fit perfectly underneath. I know that you can only probably use the 1, but I put 4 for each unit, and they fit perfectly underneath those higher windows. And then I just continued to landscape and put some shrubbery and flowers around, put a bunch of the grass pieces and the debug items. The yellow box sitting on top of the communal space ends up really just being a mezzanine space to get upstairs onto the balcony, and the balcony will have a picnic table and a grill and some yoga mats. Because I used a lot of the eco-lifestyle things with the shipping container materials, I did want it to feel like they cared about sustainability here, so I made sure to include some solar panels, and I just put them on a raised roof piece because all of the roofs are flat. After I painted the communal space, shipping containers black, the kitchen really came together really easily. I went with like an all black, just sleek, kind of commercial grade aesthetic to it. So we have an oven, a stove, a fridge. All of the dorms have just a few cooking things, mini fridge and microwaves and things, but I wanted a space where they could cook large meals and actually come together and have meals. Here I am putting some of the rose bushes that they can actually interact with. I player tested everything on this lot, so in the end they are usable. Which you can, use them as a bathroom or use them as a woohoo bush, but that and the dumpster, because not everyone ended up getting a double bed, so I wanted some locations for them to be able to use. And here I am just continuing with the tall grasses and more kind of wild shrubbery. Underneath the stairs, we have fit laundry, a laundry basket, and just some miscellaneous clutter. Player tested it for probably like 1 day, and it's very annoying how much laundry was already accumulated from all of them, so you could always just remove that. Here I am expanding the kitchen a little bit. I had an overhang on the balcony already, so I really just followed the outline of that and bumped it out, and it was mostly so that I could fit a ping pong table. I really wanted one in there. and then I moved the table and switched it out for a kind of a library study space. None of the dorm apartments ended up getting a laptop. I ended up removing them all so that they could come out to the community space if they wanted to use the laptops. I started putting some miscellaneous like fold-up lawn furniture between the housing because I felt like that was kind of their own personal yards outside of their units. We have a grill and some planters outside of one because I felt like this person likes to garden and likes to cook a lot. I love the basketball hoop outside of the front of the community space. So they basically are playing basketball in the street. All of the bathrooms are 2 to 3 tiles, so they're all very small and have the standing shower, which they can walk under. And none of them have sinks because they all have a sink in the kitchen space. So we are in the first dorm, apartment, whatever you want to call it. And this is Sonia's dorm. I went for like reds and peaches and orange colored tones in here. You'll see the wall colors change like a bunch of times, but I ended up going with these kind of prefab looking panels. I think they're from Spa Day in all of them, just in different colors. And this one I had just switched to red to give a little bit of depth in here. She likes cooking and plant life, gardening. She's big on helping the environment. And then just added a bunch of personal clutter like cards and sauces and things that she would use for cooking. Even her toothbrushes up there because I felt like in a tiny home you kind of find little pockets for keeping all of your belongings. Outside of the community space, I put a graffiti wall too, and she has started a kind of political graffiti wall out there. Here I am just fitting a bookcase in, and I tested this, and with the sliding door, they only use the one side, so it worked just fine while putting the lamp right in front of half of that door. And because I moved the laptop from the desk, I just cluttered it up with some different supplies and lowered a mirror so that it could be used as either a desk space or a vanity space. Moving on to this green dorm. It will be blue in a minute, but it is green for now. And this is Dominic's dorm. He is extremely neat and family oriented. So I wanted it to feel a little bit more put together and organized. We totally changed gears in Dominic's dorm because I wanted the outside to be blue so that we had like the primary colors as the exterior colors. So there was a big shift that I cut out here. So I just changed the whole aesthetic to be a little bit darker and a little bit more of like a masculine feeling in here. With all of the clutter is like organized rolled up towels, and there's just a few clutter pieces. I kept the clutter to a minimum. He's got a video game system and a little Yoda or a Grogu. And then we're moving on to Aiden Jacobs' dorm apartment. Aiden and Dominic I can't remember if I made the other two or if I downloaded them or they were pre-existing, but I changed all of their clothes, and you'll see them coming in and out as I was player testing, kind of while I was building to make sure that everything could work, because it's really hard in these really tight spaces to know what can fit and what's actually going to work, but everything has been tested. It is an athletic, a self-assured sim, and I wanted enough space to fit a 4-person table because I figured he likes to entertain, and it was really difficult for me to fit that 4-person table. I had to move it inch by inch and just keep testing it until I found the perfect spot to fit the bed and the table there. Now we are on to Emmeline's apartment. Hers is a little bit more of a feminine feeling to it. It's kind of bright and airy and lighter pastel colors. I had a lot of fun cluttering up Emmeline's room. She's a little bit more of a bohemian spirit, I'd say. She's really smart. She's a kleptomaniac. I love the little built-in wardrobe and storage at the foot of the bed. I was a little worried that she wouldn't be able to actually use the bed with it overlapping, but you can see her laying there now, and it works just fine. And now we're moving on to the bright red shipping container that teeters over top of 2 of the dorms. You take the ladder to get up there. The first thing I put in there was a hookah. I thought this would be a really cool kind of private lounge for the residents, with some hand-me-down furniture, an old sofa, and a one of those like camping fold-up sofas. I littered cans all over the floor, layered a bunch of rugs all over. There's a pillow on the ground, just some handmade looking furniture, and then I put scratches and stains all over the floor and all over the walls. So it looks like it's been really used, or I figured it might have been just like a really old container, maybe freshly painted the outside of it, but also it's getting a lot of wear and tear from them using it. I put a bunch of posters to give it some personality and used the tool mod to make them a little bit crooked. One of them I did the wrong angle with the tool mod, and it ended up flipping upside down, like it had fallen behind the sofa and it's peeking out, and I just kind of left it there. I felt like it was those little touches that make it look lived in and really used up there, where they kind of keep their apartments nice and neat. But then this space is where they come and really just let loose. Because they are college students, I wanted it to be really realistic, and I thought it'd be a really fun place for screenshots, a really cool little space. Here I am just adding in some industrial elements. I know that AC unit makes no sense being across the ceiling there and leading to nowhere, but I just wanted to add some details that gave it a more industrial feeling. I make a last minute change to the sidewalk here, and then we're going to lead into some screenshots. Thank you so much for watching.